What?
Erica, hey, come here.
What?
You gotta see this. We have a crack in our fiberglass.
Are you thinking about buying an RV and wondering what it's going to be like to get service during the pandemic?
In this video, we're going to take you along our journey trying to get our RV fixed during the pandemic and what hurdles we're up against.
And then at the end, we're going to go over what it's like to get our cracks in our fiberglass fixed.
Hi, we are Steve and Erica Puvalowski with Radar Road Warriors. We travel full-time in our RV to job sites across the United States.
From watching this video, you're going to get real-life examples of what it might be like for you to get your RV fixed during the pandemic while traveling full-time. This video is broken into two parts. The beginning is going to be what it's like to get your RV fixed during the pandemic, and the second part is what we are going through to get our fiberglass cracks fixed. There's timestamps down in the description below so you can jump around to the part that you want to watch. In Facebook groups, we're seeing a lot of people freaking out that they just bought an RV and something broke on it and they're trying to get it serviced and they're having a really hard time. So we want to give you an industry update if you're not aware of how the pandemic is affecting the RV industry right now.
When the pandemic hit in March of 2020, RV industry shut down some of the manufacturing in China and elsewhere, and that created a backlog of parts to build new RVs or repair RVs. After that, when everything opened up, the camping world went crazy and people started buying RVs and dealerships could not keep up with the demand. And now with the amount of RVs out there, dealerships cannot keep up. Their service bays are overwhelmed with the RVs that they have sold to their own customers, and they are not letting other customers bring their RVs in that have not bought an RV from them.
When we were buying our RV, we found a really good deal in Oregon, and we're from Michigan, and we're really glad that we bought local instead because we'd be traveling from Michigan to Oregon right now to get our RV serviced. And here is our story. Steve, take it away.
Okay, January 2020, we're shopping for an RV. We bought our 2020 open range 371 MBH. It was winter in Michigan. We put it in storage till April. In April, we moved in, got a call to go to a job site in Memphis, Tennessee. We drove to Memphis, did the job, came back. It was May. On the way back from the job site, I noticed a crack in the fiberglass by the front bedroom slide. After seeing the crack and scared about the situation, I looked up on Facebook groups to see if other people had the same problem. In May, I called the dealership we bought it from. No one answered, so I had to figure something out on my own.
And they didn't answer because Michigan was shut down until the beginning of June.
From looking at the Facebook groups, it seemed that drilling a hole in the end of the fiberglass crack, putting some caulk over it, was a good solution to keep the crack from spreading. In June, Michigan lifted restrictions and the dealership opened back up. I called the dealership to see if they had options to get their RV in for service, and they had a backlog of people who had RVs already at the lot to service them, and people who had appointments that were scheduled during the time they were closed. They had to call all those people to try to get their RV service and try to play catch up. We were planning a trip to Michigan's Upper Peninsula, which was a 10-hour trip one way for us. On our travels, the crack in the fiberglass got longer. I drilled another hole in that fiberglass, put some more caulk over to it, hoping it was going to stop sooner than later.
It was at this time in the Upper Peninsula that we realized that our slide's starting to have issues. What were they?
We had the bedroom slide, one of the rollers was twisted, and it was making the slide go in crooked when you're traveling. On the two main slides in the living room area, the main kitchen slide by the fridge was making some moans and groans, and the slide pieces of rubber were falling off inside the RV after we traveled, and we noticed some fraying starting on one of the cables on the main table slide. After our trip in Michigan, we called the dealership we bought it from to see if they had openings, and they did not. I called other authorized dealers to see if they had openings, and they would be a couple months.
We do hurricane relief work, and in August we got called to work one of Louisiana's many hurricanes. So at this point we packed up the RV and headed down around 1,400 miles from Michigan to Louisiana, and we noticed that we had even more slide cable issues that needed to be addressed and fixed ASAP.
On our big table slide, one of the cables was frayed to the point that it was not going to go in or out anymore. I called around the dealership to see if someone down there would be able to get it in for service. No options. We did not buy it from them. They were not going to take us in for service. I tried some mobile mechanics. They were too busy and backlog. On top of that, trying to find a cable to fix the slide was a pretty good challenge. I called around to about a dozen dealerships. I found one dealership over an hour and a half away. They had two cables in stock. I bought them both, so I had one for a backup after I changed one, just in case I broke one in the process. I figured out how to change the slide cable, fix that cable, and we were back in business.
And at this point, I'm really happy that Steve is mechanically inclined, so the slide would work. And he also took the RV Technical Institute, I think the name is. If not, it'll be down below. Level 1 course to understand what the differences are from like sticks and bricks house to RVs, so he could have more knowledge for fixing the RV. The hurricane's now over. We worked it for 50 days, and we're into October. We needed to get the slide fixed, so we drove back to Michigan just to get the slide work performed.
When we were back in Michigan, I called the RV dealership to set up an appointment. It was a learning curve for them to realize we live in the RV full time. We could not just drop the RV off for a couple weeks to let them fix the RV. We'd pick it up when they were done, we'd bring it back home. We had to set up an appointment so they could be available that day to work on it, see what the issues were, hopefully fix the issues, and bring the RV back as soon as possible.
And at that point, they had 2 appointments open, and then by the time we actually got it scheduled, they only had 1 appointment open, so we had to take that one.
At this point, it was early November, we had an appointment scheduled, and now we're going to show you how we clean out the RV to get it ready for service.
And here we go.
Currently, we are prepping the RV to go into the RV dealership for its big repair, which means we have to take everything out of the 3 slides they'll be working on that did not come in the RV from the factory, so they'll be able to pull the slides out if need to, do all the alignments and adjustments at that time.
And that's basically, those slides have most of our storage in it, so we really have to take about 60-70% of everything out of here.
And we're really hoping they can get everything aligned correctly so slides go in and out smoothly, the seal stop catching, the cable stop fraying. Hopefully it stops the fiberglass from continuing to crack. It'd be really great if we get a fiberglass cracks fixed during this time frame, but if we get them at least operating smoothly, that's goal number 1.
Yes. And since we are at Steve's mom's house right now, we have the luxury of using their shed. There is a fridge, like a full-size fridge in the garage that we can put our food in. That's where we're going to store everything. And then our 4 cats can also stay in there. And I guess if we were on the road, we'd have to go to a hotel that accepted animals and then bring all this stuff in. Or if we didn't have, someone's house that we were staying at.
So while it's going to be a lot of work, it could be a lot more work and more of a pain.
At this point, we're around 60% of the RV cleaned out, and it's a lot of work. There's a lot more stuff than we thought. And we wanted to share something with you that we just figured out. All of our stuff we thought came in totes. It would be really easy to just take them and put them in storage. So if we're in a hotel, I just thought we'd just move all these totes upstairs. Well, we found out a whole bunch of our stuff isn't in totes. The pots and pans, the pantry, the stuff in the fridge. So if you do have to move out all of your stuff from the RV, and you have to go to a hotel room, you either have to bring stuff up in totes, take everything out, and then reuse the totes, or go buy some boxes. And while we were taking stuff out, we're also finding a couple small things that are damaged. We have this board coming down, some trim. So Steve's going to be fixing that, and then we're going to also be inspecting the cabinets at this time.
If I was you, I'd be checking out my shelves right away. But after this video, we open these shelves every day, and I didn't realize that the bottoms are falling out of the shelves and bouncing down the road. We could have come to a stop, setting up camp, and everything could be all one big pile at the bottom of the fireplace, which would not be good. If you ever need to get the fireplace out, it's pretty simple. There's 2 screws here you can see on this side. You lift up gently, the whole glass front comes off. There's 4 other screws, and you slide it out of the way and unplug it, and you have room to work behind there, or if you want to hide something, don't put the cats back there though.
Now we're going to go into the results of our initial appointment. This is the appointment we've been trying to get since May, and now it's November.
Our appointment was at 8 a.m., so I was taking the RV down the night before. On the travel down, someone fixed a crack in the road with a big load of tar. I drove over that, had a big mess on the truck and the RV. Not fun. I slept in the parking lot the night before the service. I was ready to go at 8 a.m.
What were we, 4 hours drive time to the...
Yes, and I was not going to get up at 4 a.m. to drive down if I didn't have to.
And we were taking whatever time they had. They had an 8 a.m. slot, so we were there.
I had a long list of things to fix between the cracks, slide issues, a few other things on the RV needed to be fixed underneath warranty. They took care of the few other things that needed to be taken care of. Between the slides and the cracks in the fiberglass, they don't have a body shop on site, so that had to go back to the manufacturer to be fixed. It didn't make any sense to take the slides out and repair those when all those parts had to be taken out when the cracks are fixed in the fiberglass at a manufacturer anyway.
This part of the video is all about getting the cracks in our fiberglass fixed. When we found the first crack, we freaked out, went to Facebook and YouTube trying to find out what the process was going to be like. So that's why we're giving this to you in detail. And we found out that this is an issue, but it's not that common. So there's not that much information about it. When we took our RV to the dealer, we knew that we had 2 cracks. When they got done inspecting it, they told us about 2 more. So now we're up to 4 cracks, and all the cracks are located by the slides in the RV on the outside.
Now this is November of 2020, and working with the manufacturer, their service is booked up until spring of 2021.
Yeah, we tried to get it done before we left to go do a job that Steve's going to tell you about.
Our work has a schedule to be going to the West Coast, California, for 2021 first quarter plus a little bit more. We really don't want to be driving all the way back from California to Elkhart, Indiana to bring the RV in for service if all possible. We are working with the manufacturer to schedule an appointment in July, midsummer of 2021. Hopefully the RV will be fixed at that time.
Now, what that entails is they asked for a whole bunch of interior pictures of the RV. And when Steve talked to the customer service on the phone again from the manufacturer, they said that they need to match the interior because RV manufacturers offer a couple different interior options, plus it changes from year to year. They're going to be replacing the entire wall, which means the inside and the outside of the wall and the structure in between.
To do that, they will have taken all the slides out, they will fix those issues, the seals, the cables, change the sides, put all the slides back in, and hopefully our RV will be back to new at that time.
And with that, we have to completely empty the RV and take everything off the walls.
That's 100%. Not just things out of the slides, but everything out of every storage compartment.
So what you already seen, we have to do a lot more than that. So we definitely need to be mooch docking at a family member's house so we have somewhere to store everything, because this is not going to be just a day process in and out of the repair shop. This is going to be emptying everything, having it down at the manufacturer for a couple days, and then bringing it back, and then have to put everything back in.
Maybe even a couple weeks.
Shut up.
Well, it will definitely be more than weeks to fix the RV. We had an update from the manufacturer before we published this video, and they said it will be at least a month process for the dual wall replacement. They plan on 2 weeks per wall to repair it. And when I asked why they had an issue, if it'll be fixed, they said they had a known issue in some RVs between the welding process, and the new walls have updated bracing, and all the welding processes have been fixed. The manufacturer has been great to work with, answering questions and emails and phone calls, and we're looking forward to having the RV fixed eventually, even though it will be a 2-month process for us by the time we drive back from the job site, unload, the repair process, reload, and back to a job site.
Something to think about. Not saying this is going to happen to you, but when I got the RV, I wanted to start making a whole bunch of changes to the interior decor, and Steve said, can we just live in it just like it is? So I said yes, I didn't want to, and if I would have painted the walls white or putting a whole bunch of decor on, those walls are leaving. We're getting new walls, so it would have been a waste of our time. This is part 1 of hopefully 2-part video series of how we got the cracks in our fiberglass fixed. Once we get it done around July, August time frame, we will make the next video. Will be linked up top, linked down in the description, so make sure you check that out.
If you have or have had cracks in your fiberglass, please drop a comment down below with the year, the make of your fifth wheel, travel trailer, whatever you have, so we can all learn together of how you got the cracks fixed, where your cracks form, or if you still have the cracks.
Yes, because when we were trying to figure out what the process was going to be like to get the cracks fixed, we could hardly find any information. So we want this video to be a resource for everybody else. And if you want to follow us as we learn about the RV lifestyle and embark on our journey, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.
Get together there.
Yeah, dealership is a hard word. Dealership.
It's like a couple syllables. That did not come in the RV from the factory.
I was making faces.
Oh.
What?
Did you clear the memory out? Or are we doing this clip another 7, 8 time? Take 12?